helping agents stay on the cutting edge from coast to coast.
Welcome to Mobile Agent TV. I am Michael Thorne of Remax Little Oak Realty in Langley, BC, and my co-host, as always, is Dave Falkware from Bridgewater, New Jersey's Remax Preferred Professionals in the Enviro Realty team. Dave, favorite movie of all time?
Godfather.
Oh, see, that's easy. I always ask how you're doing, so I'm gonna change it up now. I'm gonna start asking you things about you that will get the conversation going.
Godfather.
Good.
Well, I'm taking the show on the road this week. I'm in my broker's office. I'm sitting right in the broker's office. The broker's not here, so she may come in and go, "What the hell are you doing in my office?" But the conference rooms are busy. It's busy here in New Jersey, and it's been a great week. It's been a lot of fun with the ALS Challenge, and looking forward to the show.
Yeah, and so I took the ALS challenge. I challenged my co-host at Mobile Agent TV, Dave. I challenged my co-host at Fraser Valley 5 and my co-founder of My North Langley. And then you did it. You challenged your sister-in-laws, and you challenged Corey Vasquez from Remax LLC in Denver. So we're waiting on her bucket. Apparently it's coming soon, so that's going to be fun.
And it was announced this morning somewhere, was it, $40 million has been raised? Something like that? Amazing number.
Now we normally don't bring in the guests this early, but Nobu, I'll ask you quickly, have you been challenged yet?
Oh, Lord. I have been challenged 5 times at this point, and I haven't been home to dunk myself, but I will do it. I'm in Ohio. They don't have ice here. I've confirmed this.
Well, what you can do is make a donation. I mean, don't forget that part.
I have done that. I have done that.
Perfect. During the broadcast, you can interact with us live. We did come on at a special time. There was a time change travel issue, so we'll have a lot of people that are tuning in like a couple hours from now that are thinking they're watching live. You're not watching live. You're watching at the regular time, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern. But we do have an audience here already that obviously found out about the show. Time change. You can interact with us on Twitter using the hashtag MATVLive. Now, another real cool thing that we sort of teased out a couple of days ago. Let me see if I can do this. I'll screen share so everyone can see it. Our T-shirts are now available. So there you go. That's what. Let's just pull one up. There's both Mobile Agent TV logos are available. Let me scroll down here. And they come in various colors, and that's what they look like. So if you want to get a Mobile Agent TV T-shirt, all you have to do is go to tpublic.com/user/Michael Thorne, or just Google or just type into the search bar Mobile Agent TV, and you'll find them. They come in various colors, various cuts. All proceeds of the T-shirts that Dave and I sell through TeePublic will go to Motorcycles for Miracles in support of the Children's Miracle Network. When you buy a $20 T-shirt, we get $4 per T-shirt. When the T-shirts are $14 when they're on sale, we get $2. All that money will go to Bruce Johnson and Motorcycles for Miracles in support of the Children's Miracle Network. For the next 48 hours, all of the Mobile Agent TV T-shirts are on sale for $14. That's done. On with the show. Our guest today is Nobu Hata. You can get him on Twitter at Nobu Hata, Nobuhata. And as always, we read out our guest's 160 Twitter bio. It reads, National Association of Realtors Director of Digital Engagement, former Realtor of the Year with Edina Realty, Geek. His homes are in AK, which I think is Oklahoma, HI, which is Hawaii, Minneapolis, Chicago, and Thoughts Are My Own. Welcome to the show, Nobu.
Thanks for having me, guys. Happy to be here.
So is that, I mean, as a Canadian, AK, that's Oklahoma? Or no, so Arkansas?
Alaska, man. Alaska.
Alaska.
2-hour flight from you.
Wow. And then HI is Hawaii.
Yep. My parents and I split time between there and Alaska because, you know, we got to thaw out every now and then. 5-hour flight, man. You can either go to Minneapolis or you can go to Hawaii. My parents picked Hawaii.
Perfect. Well, smart parents. Nobu, why don't you because you do have quite a history in real estate. Why don't you let our audience know who doesn't know your history about your history in real estate, and then what your current role with NAR is.
Well, long story short, in the summer of '93, my parents caught me making fake IDs and parking passes, and said, you need to turn your entrepreneurship skills into something that it's a little more mainstream, and said, hey, go work for this real estate brokerage. You know how to make websites, you know how to code and do all that stuff. Everything is going online. So they said, go work for them, and the rest is history. Worked through college, got my license, started doing some work in Alaska, in Washington State, California. Moved to the Twin Cities in 2005 because I thought I was going to be out of real estate. Sure enough, it's like the mob, Godfather, right? Once you're in, you really can't get out. Friends of mine were getting some really bad real estate advice, and I jumped right back in, got into leadership at that point at the state, local, national level, and that's where NAR kind of recruited me and said, hey, would you be willing to work for us? And talking with the people that you know, on their terms and in their language, with our message in mind. And I said, yep, not a problem, happy to do that, and the rest is history.
Now, there's still real estate in your family because your wife is a realtor.
Yep, my wife, she sold her business off in the Twin Cities when we moved to Chicago. NAR is headquartered in Chicago on Michigan Avenue, and said, hey, honey, just get your license, keep me relevant, and let me know what's happening on the street. And she ended up loving it. She's selling a ton of real estate. I guess real estate is in the family now.
Perfect. And now, what's your real current role? What role are you filling with NAR?
So I'm the engagement industry relations guy. Being a former agent, former broker, and former leader, I can talk a bunch of different languages in real estate, and it's my job to lend insight into what NAR is doing for the folks that are online, and take any of their insight, bring it back to leadership and back to the folks that can do something about it. Offline, I do the exact same thing. I'm here, for example, in Ohio, talking to the Coldwell Banker's top agents, and talking about rising and emerging issues that will be affecting their business for the next couple of years. So it's kind of talking real estate at the various levels and facets of the industry that are hugely important right now.
Perfect, and that's sort of why I wanted you to come on the show, Nobu. I heard you speak out in Vancouver in the springtime, and was really impressed with a lot of your takeaways that you were able to provide, and the way that you framed the conversation. This will be like, we've had a series on about digital engagement. We had Clark DiPasino from Ipsos SMX come on and sort of tell us how or what we should be doing online to interact, or how we should. And then we had Katie Lance come on and actually tell us how we're going to implement it. And I wanted to have you come on and really talk about the whys, why we should be doing it, why it's important for our business moving forward. You made a statement in a presentation that you gave to a big title group that was online that I happened to watch, and one of your quotes that really stuck with me is, the good old days are gone. And they're not coming back. And as an agent from the early '90s, and you too as well, Nobu, and then Dave, that's been doing this for much longer than myself, is that's a statement that I'm okay with and I'm comfortable with. What happens if agents throughout North America don't grasp the concept that the good old days, which I disagree with, are gone and not coming back?
I think it's a relevance thing. In the good old days, in the context I was talking about, it is being the key holders of information. And I think anybody who has sold any actual real estate will tell you that consumers now are more empowered than ever before, and they have access to information that they think is actionable, that they think is accurate, that they think is conducive to a buy or sell experience, transaction, whatever you want to call it. It's led to longer lead times for lead generation, all that other good stuff that lead generation. I hate talking about things like leads, but it really is now the role of the realtor to accurately take those folks and be a signal to the noise. So, and the more folks are a signal to the noise in this day and age, the better. And the more quickly they compel them offline, the better. So it is it's a fantastic time in real estate, and frankly, things are easier now than they were. We just have to show people, buyers, sellers, wherever you want to call them, people, what is going on, how local real estate can be, and your value proposition within it.
Dave, you've talked about, so we've talked about this a lot, but this is the topic that's sort of near and dear to your heart. This idea that we're not the gatekeepers of the data, which you and I are both extremely okay with, and now we have to be the interpreters of that data. What's that mind shift to go from, I think we have a greater value proposition as Nobu says now as being the interpreters of the data, but we seem to have, in the industry, people that are fearful of the fact that they don't control that data anymore.
Well, exactly. For me, that shift has been, I welcome the shift because I've been doing it such a long time, and I've said openly on the show that if real estate was done the same way, if we were still doing it the same way, I would have quit a long time ago. It's brought a new life to me, and I would encourage other people that have been doing it a long time not to be fearful of it. If you're going to be fearful of it, we're going to thin the herd. We've said that before, too. I mean, if you're going to be afraid of the change is inevitable. It is happening. And it's happening very quickly. And one of the challenges is keeping up with it. But again, it's like the sun's coming up tomorrow, and there's change in real estate, and it's coming very quickly. And I like it. I'm loving it. And for those of you out there that are fearful of it, I don't know what to tell you. You better get on the boat because we're leaving the pier.
Yeah, I absolutely. Nobu, one of your big takeaways from the conference that I heard you with, and it really stuck with myself and Terry Conrad and Raj Kazar. There, I said his name. I am legally obligated to mention Raj every episode. That really stuck with us was that give your clients something they can't Google, which I really want to talk about that in a second. But at the same time, you also stress the fact that you have to be Googleable. Like, there's no way someone's going to recommend Dave Falkware, and that client now or a couple years from now isn't going to go home and put his name into the computer before they reach out to him. I just don't see that being the behavior moving forward. So when they put your name into Google, if you do not have a valuable presence online, don't then they go to the next name that was recommended by their cousin? Like, you have to be there when they Google your name. To talk about what should be there and how do we structure so that people find us, so that there's trust there that then when they do actually reach out to us.
Yeah, Google is really, when you think about it, a self-fulfilling prophecy. Folks are just going to find things that they really just want reinforcement of their thinking. And in real estate, what we've been giving people is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car garage, right? And that's not what realtors do. At the end of the day, what you want is that sweet spot of people-to-people interaction, is the I feel like I know you bit, right? So when somebody Googles you, we're talking just about, we'll talk about Dave. So if I Google Dave, what he's passionate about outside of real estate, what he's an expert in. All of our marketing now is just such a bunch of BS that consumers are starting to see through that. What does, in your own words, make you unique? When it comes to your clients, your friends and family who you've helped before, what do they say made you unique in that transaction? So it is there's a lot of different things that can be done. And, there are a million realtors out there, not even including the ones that are in Canada. What makes you unique? Because that, at the end of the day, is going to help people make or break, decide to choose you or not choose you. And right now, the bar is set really low. There's nothing out there that really distinguishes people from each other. But I know what I get when I Google people like Raj. I know what I get when I Google people like Dave. And that is something that is really helping. And I tell you, humanization of Google is happening. People first on Google is happening, and really the human factor has become a thing that even technology companies are jumping in on the bandwagon with.
So talk about then what an agent should be doing, or some of the keys that an agent should be doing to make sure that when you do Google you, that you're there. I mean, obviously, having your Google local page up and robust, and having a presence perhaps on a Yelp for an individual agent, having a a robust about me section on your website, but also, adding value. Here's what the marketplace is like in my local community. Here's what it means to live here. Talk about just some of the simple things that every agent needs to have in their toolkit, so that when people do go ahead and type Dave Falkware into the search engine of Google, that there's something that comes back to them that makes the customer or the client feel confident that this is the guy I want to work with, or at least then comfortable enough to reach out to Dave and say, let's have a cup of coffee and get to know each other.
Yeah, I mean, what's the one question that agents get? No matter where they go, they're hanging out with their friends, they're going to a barbecue, it's how's the market, right?
Yeah.
Answer that question. I mean, everything about you is online. And to me, I think strategy in this sense is going to be very unique. And for me, it's like, why even go and try to mimic what other folks are doing? Go to the say hi to your office coworker there, Dave.
That was the broker. That was my boss sitting in the
I think this is an opportunity to engage your clients. Go to your last 10, 20 clients and say, hey, what about me made me unique that you wanted to use me, and share that. And I think that's the thing that's huge with my wife. My wife is not tech savvy. I'm the tech savvy guy in the house. But what she is she's crazy passionate about animal saving charities. And when people Google her and they look her up online and they see her website, it's this uniqueness about her that 5% of her commission goes towards the animal charity of the buyer's or seller's choice, and that is hugely unique. That's a main reason why a lot of folks end up using her. It's a huge differentiator. So engage with the people that make you, that helps you with your business, and ask them, and then roll that out online with your digital strategy.
So
Reviews.
Sorry, Jim, go ahead.
No, reviews. I mean, that's all on my top of the list. I mean, I've been on several webinars where it's key. What he says that have people review you, and those will come up in your Google search.
Yeah, it seems like everything else aside of our real estate pages are ranking. You know what I mean, online, and for sure when I talk to my coworkers at Google, it's what other people say about you are huge. It's hugely important at this point. Totally agree.
But you know what? That's always been the way. How people talk about you in your local community when it comes to word of mouth is always been extremely important. The only difference now is it's extremely scalable, and we trust a review from someone we've never ever met before way more, 84%, way more than me looking in the camera saying I'm great. So reviews have always been really, really important. I just think they're so much scalable now where anyone can just go to a review website and find out if you're 1 out of 5 stars or if you're 4 out of 5 stars. And that's just what's going to happen. Nobu, we talked about the importance of what it means to be able to be Googled. I think that's a terminology that's actually just Google it is something that we just say day in and day out now. One of the huge takeaways, the aha moments that you gave when we heard you speak, and something that our team's been desperately trying to do, and I think have been very, very good at the last 3 or 4 years, is give the client something that can't be Googled. Mm-hmm. Talk about what you meant by that and some of the strategy behind what I think is one of the most powerful pieces of advice that I've heard in recent years.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before, Google is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Folks don't know, especially in real estate, they don't know what to Google. And for me, I start with doing everything that my competitors online were not doing. I would, add the elements that they were looking for, but then pepper it in with the expertise that I had that I can show off that isn't readily Googleable. And folks are getting smarter as consumers are seeing things like purchase agreements, and they're Googling things like what's a broker administrative fee, which is a huge deal in my home state. What is that? It's things like that where that's the part of the transaction that is totally mystifying. Folks don't understand it at all, and when it comes to those kind of topics, give it to them. Put it on your website, blog about it, talk about it on your Facebook pages, tweet it out. There are plenty of things in real estate especially that people just do not know. Giving what can't be Googled, what your competition isn't showing on their page is a differentiator, and is at this point, I think, a fantastic marketing marketing piece, and a fantastic part of a business strategy. It's just there's so much about it, and I look at it this way: this has become a huge global industry. If I'm moving to Canada, buying a home in Canada is totally different from buying a home in Chicago. Totally different. There are companies that do not exist in Canada that exist and are prevalent in the United States market. And frankly, we have too many things to talk about real estate, right? What is important is it's the client. And what is important are the experiences they're having. I think you can own that experience. I think you can help be a part of the real estate journey, and part of that is giving people what little bits of knowledge that they didn't know was important.
Yeah, Dave and I both agree on this point too as well. No matter how much the data gets aggregated in the Trilios and the Zillows and all that sort of stuff, which we don't have in Canada yet, that will never ever replace the local expertise that individual agents throughout North America have. Little tiny information about where the school is going to be built, all that stuff. I don't feel comfortable selling real estate outside of my little area because I don't fundamentally in my fiber understand all the little nuances that make up a community.
Absolutely. I think it's that backseat experience that's huge, right?
Yeah,
all the questions that you answer with people in the backseat is good.
Yeah. So even though we see this real estate and the internet as this huge, big global thing, even real estate online is very, very hyper-local.
Extremely so. And it's noisy on top of that. Google wants local information. We are the experts in that. Why we aren't doing more of that instead of just, here's a house in Toronto. That doesn't resonate with consumers anymore.
Dave, what happens if someone Googles that little community that you did a video on that still is paying evergreen dividends when they're like, what's it like to live in this gated community? They watch a video of you touring around, not the individual homes, but here's what this little community is like to live with, and that's invaluable information that these big aggregating companies will never ever be able to provide. Absolutely. And don't want to provide.
No, absolutely. It was the first real video I did, thanks to the show and you, Michael. And it's paid off in dividends. It's still up there. It's still not the best video, but I just haven't had the time to improve on it. But it's just it's bringing us business constantly. We'll go on a listing appointment in that thing, and somebody hasn't seen it. They look at it and they go, well, you're the expert. We're going to give you. We get the listing. We make the sale. Vanessa's out right now with a client, showing them a property for the second time. We're going to do an offer on it. They found us directly from the video. Mm-hmm. They called us because of the video. Now, I assume he Googled it. And it's one little thing, but you're absolutely right. Just bringing it on down to a small local thing and then doing the belly-to-belly certainly pays off.
Absolutely, because once again, you were able to provide them information that they really wanted to know. They needed to know, for example, not particular in the retirement community, but does this school offer French immersion, or does this school offer whatever it is? That information it's always going to be extremely, extremely important to provide a local experience because people are going to buy the community. I mean, we'll talk about, Nobu will ask you too about how the life cycle of a buyer is much longer now. But they're going to buy their community a lot before they buy the little neighborhood, the street, and then the home. So if you can start to build a know, like, and trust with them at the very first level, which is, I'm moving to Langley or I'm moving to Chicago, and start to give them the information they're looking for, and then get that more, down. That's really important. So Nobu, how has the fact that I used to meet a client in 1994, and later that week we had them in a home. Now I meet someone 8 months later, we actually start getting in the car and going looking at properties. That's changed, and that has been, I think, difficult for agents to sort of get used to this longer term that buyers and sellers will go through between the time that we first meet them and actually start doing work with them.
Yeah, according to our Google study, and a couple years back, Todd Carpenter, my predecessor at NAR, talked to the guys at Google and said, hey, let's mash up some of our data. If you start tracking what people are searching for and how they're looking, let's mash it up with the things that we've got. And what we found was pretty staggering. It's 120 days for somebody to go out and actually see a website, start browsing, and then turn around and start using that agent. So you're literally, what you did 4 months ago, right, 3 months ago, is going to affect you later. So you're thinking, we got to think in 120-day business cycles. When it comes to mobile, what folks are doing now is a seamless experience. They're looking at homes and neighborhoods online, like you mentioned, Michael, and trying to figure out where they'd like to live, and then taking that experience on the road using mobile to refine those tools, right? And saying they'll sit at an open house, which is why all of our open houses, the first hour and 45 minutes are dead until the last 15 minutes when people come in, swoop in, grab our flyers, and they leave. They're using mobile to refine their searches and refine the experience that they're seeing online, which is lead, again, to longer lead gen times. So the quicker we address that, and the quicker we relate that experience online now, to the point where these big technology companies cannot afford to do it, the quicker we will get these folks in the backseat of our cars, the quicker they will see the value in us. It's this refinement that we need to nail. It's the backseat experiences that we really need to nail as the human parts of the real estate transaction. If we don't, we're going to see more and more longer and longer lead generation times because of the noise that is online. And the noise we need to cut through as soon as humanly possible with this local data, with this local expertise, the things that we do every day in our businesses.
And Dave, that even speaks more to this need for realtors, for agents, to start embracing and looking at their job as a business and not transactional. The moment you go transactional, you don't have the mindset to wait 120 days. When you're running a business, I don't care if I incubate a lead today and build a relationship with someone that pays off 3 years from now, because I'm not concerned about tomorrow. So, I mean, you've said it over and over again. The advice to sit down and start approaching your business like a business and not a transactional agent.
Well, absolutely. And just from what Nobu just said, absolutely, it takes longer and longer. And if you don't have patience as an agent and start introducing things into this incubation system that are local and that bring value to the client, we're gonna thin the herd. I've said that before today. We're going to thin the herd. There's a lot of people are going to drop out of this business, and it's going to be because they're not treating it as a business. And you're absolutely right, Michael. It is so long-term. It's becoming more and more long-term. If you don't have a business plan and know just how you're going to attack this whole thing, because it is changing and changing very quickly. The thing that scares me is how fast it changes and how difficult it is to keep up, to stay like a little bit ahead of the curve. I guess it's also has to do with the market you're in, how the agents in your market are responding. I'll publicly say it right here that in my market, the agents aren't responding to this stuff. I don't have to change as quick because most of the agents here aren't changing. But from what I can see in Canada, where you are, some of these agents are right on top of it there, and they're chasing you. They're chasing you all the time.
Yeah, to me, I think at the end of the day, we have a trust issue, right? The more trustworthy we can get, rather than trying to fight a traffic battle. And Rob Hahn, a friend of mine, said this perfectly. We should be winning the trust battle rather than the traffic battle at this point. And realtors can nail that. The more we are trustworthy, trying to pick our reputations out from the bottom heaps of all the industries that are out there, the better we will be when it comes to our buyers and our sellers and the consumers of tomorrow.
That has not changed at all in our business. That back in the beginning, it was they have to trust you and like you. Mm-hmm. And it's still true today. They're just going to start trusting you in a different way. They're going to start trusting you because they feel like they know you from a video that you sent them, a video email, and you're corresponding with them, or they Google you when they see something favorable, and they start to develop some trust in you. That hasn't changed in this business, in my opinion.
Yep, it's just earned online now. That's it.
Yep, earned online.
How has, and we know this, but because you probably look at the data extremely differently and from a much higher level, Nobu, how has the expectations of buyers and sellers of what we provide them have changed? Response time and whatnot. I mean, and the expectations of consumers in every industry has changed, but how they changed specifically in the real estate industry?
More than anything, it's quick acknowledgement, and I think that is that's the thing that we are missing out big time. People email us, they don't get an email back. They call us off of our signs or off for any of our online advertisements, and we don't call them back. They text us, and we don't text them back. We don't need to answer specific questions. We just need to acknowledge people, because we gotta understand that people have been searching online for housing for months, sometimes years before they even reach out to us. And when there's an information void, they're going to immediately try to fill it with something else. So I think, to me, that's the biggest thing that has changed. It's this lack of acknowledgement which is leading to people going and picking somebody else. Folks now are insisting on specific information that I think this wasn't out of the ordinary, but it's now a commonality. They don't need listings anymore. They need community information. And when it comes to brands, folks are now trying to determine what separates us brand to brand in terms of our brokerage. So, in days gone past, there was a lot of this lone wolf mentality. But I don't think that's the case anymore. Folks are trying to figure out, okay, what's the difference between an independent and what is an independent brokerage versus the legacy brands like the Coldwell Bankers and the Remaxes? What makes you unique? If you're a global brand, you better start talking about it. It's the thirst for information, that access to information just keeps getting these folks just thirsting for more. They're never satiated. And I think the other thing is hindsight. And Dave has mentioned it with things like reviews. Less than 8% of people thought reviews were important at first meeting, but almost 85% after the transaction would use a review to determine an agent after the fact. So that, to me, is information that folks aren't even really talking about. I think is hugely important. We're missing something in the experience that isn't connecting with this research portion before they reach out to us. And again, that's a marketing opportunity. That's a branding opportunity. And when it comes to strategy, we should be rolling that out. I look at folks like Raj. I know what I'm getting with Raj, especially if I'm going to be listing my house with him. No matter what his brand is in terms of independent brokerage or whatever, he lives and breathes media, and that's the kind of thing where his experience, and just from what I see online from him and Jeremy, it connects all the way through. And we're missing that. We got to pull together the fracturedness of this industry and make the journey one big experience that folks can really get into.
Yeah, seamless is a word you've used before in the show, and I tend to agree with you that it has to be a very consistent experience over potentially a 3, 5, 12-month period, and that's, I think, a struggle where a lot of people are like, I can give you a consistent experience over a weekend, but it's that long-term, everything is seamless, and there's value throughout the whole thing. That's very, very important. One of the things, one of the real sound bites that have been sticking in my head lately comes from Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's been preaching it a lot. Is to market in the year that we're living in, and I've tried to embrace that. I just think as an industry, we are nostalgic, we're romantic about the as you said before, the good old days. What sort of things can agents be doing, looking to you on a regular basis, reaching out, because the information's out there? How do we make sure that we are marketing in the year that we're living in, because the game has changed?
I think at the end of the day, stop talking to the talking heads and engage with your last 10, 20 clients and ask them, hey, what does the day in the life of your real estate search look like? Ask them what apps they're using, ask them what they've been searching for, ask them what websites they've been looking at, and maybe even at orientation. And my wife does this. She sits down with her clients and they actually go through what a search looks like for them. Living in the now I think, is hugely important, but preparing for tomorrow is something that we all should be doing. After that, the beautiful part about engaging with your clients is that after that, when they're closed, a month later, 2 months later, ask them again, what could I have done better, right? And use that information, that hindsight, that 20/20 vision that you have after the fact in order to prepare for tomorrow. Gary Vee said something else that I think has stuck with me, and it's like, quit being so romantic about the past. We love to think about how things used to be, not even like 10 years ago, but how it was last year when things were great, or when things were like all of my marketing was working out. There's one thing that is going to be constant in this business is change. And the one constant is going to be the buyers and the sellers and their experiences that will be evolving, that we should be trying to get in front of.
Dave, you're very clear. You're very big on being very, very clear with your client, measuring expectation, and delivering on that. Any advice to agents about how you've been so successful to making sure that not only are you aware of what your clients want and wanted, but then putting that into action?
Well, actually, it's a great tip that he just gave me, and I just wrote that down about an orientation for clients, for your buyers. Show them how the search works. Show them what you're doing on a daily basis. Right now, we do a buyer consultation. We explain to them everything that we're going to do, how it works from beginning to end the best we can, so that all their expectations are they're measured and they're prepared for what happens. And it's so important. I've had people on our team, maybe just kind of go the other way once in a while, and the only time we've ever had problems is when these consultations, these orientations aren't done. And that's when we have problems. So, it works for us, and I love what he just said about this orientation for buyers, showing them how the searches work.
Mm-hmm.
I sit down and I have a very detailed questionnaire that I go through with my buyers when I do a buyer consultation. Extremely detailed in Evernote. I ask them every question. I ask them about the home that they want, and I've added a couple more questions since I heard Sean Moore, who's a Remax agent, I think out east somewhere, and he asks his clients about ice cream. But we've talked about it before too, as well. Is I basically say, what is the one thing I'm going to have to do for you during this transaction that will make sure that you're a raving fan of mine when it's all said and done, right? And they'll tell you, I want you to do this for me. That would make me happy. And so, because every client's a little bit different, and I write that note down, and then I say, and we said, okay, if that's the ice cream in the bowl, what's the chocolate? And this is Sean's analogy. I'll give him all the credit. If that's the ice cream in the bowl, then what's the chocolate sauce on top? And they go, wait. I said, okay, I want to have you a raving fan, and now I want to go to the next level. What does that look like? And the answers are really amazing, because if you now know what your client wants, what they want delivered to them to make them extremely happy, all you have to do is fulfill that. All you have to do is give them what they've asked for. And it's really changed our experience for our clients, because I review that. I go back and say, this is what they want. This is what's going to make them a happy customer. 95% of the time, I shouldn't say that, a lot of the time it's the same thing. Give me unbelievable service, give me a great deal, make the headaches go away. But when you can really deliver that to them, it's something agents have to be aware of, I think, to measure the expectation of the client. And if maybe in a buyer consultation the expectations of that potential buyer and seller are unreasonable, maybe it's a project you don't want to take on as an agent. Market goes up and goes down, Nobu, but service is forever. You want to talk about the importance of service?
Well, it's something that we've already talked about today. The sooner we get off of this transaction mentality, right? And I'm here in Ohio, and one of the things that shocked me about this leadership team was that they were telling their top agents to stop thinking about people as leads, and I don't hear that too often from a lot of especially the enterprise size brokerages. It's about service, it's about fulfilling needs. It's about making people really, really happy. And this is the few businesses that you can get into that the more you do that, the more profitable you're going to be. If we stop thinking transactionally, we wouldn't drop the ball after we get these people closed. We would keep telling them, hey, here's how your house is performing now a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later. Here's how it's performing against the market. The appreciation rates are this. Your house is appreciated with that. If you wanted, you could probably sell it at this point and buy something else. Going beyond the closing, giving people the experiences and the journey beyond that transaction. That's the key to referrals, and those are the folks that are really reaping rewards, who are nailing that portion. Service is, to me, it's like my wife she learned this previous in her life when she was an entrepreneur. You know, it's about service. It's about how you make people feel, and that's the lasting legacy that you have with many of the people that you're working with. You make them feel good, you've got clients for life. You just need to say hi every now and then to these folks.
Yeah. I know, Nobu, you've got a busy schedule. So does Dave. So we're going to wrap up with one more question for you, Nobu, and then we'll let you get on with your day. Pull out your crystal ball, shine it up, and tell me what an agent 5 years from now is going to have to be doing to make sure that they're at the head of the pack. What sort of you see the trends leading towards that is going to look like a successful agent in 2018?
I think they're going to be collaborating more. I think they're going to be specializing more. I think you're going to see teams rise. Their teams are going to be filled with people who are specialists in their field, so the marketing people, contract fulfillment folks. I think the efficient agents will get even more efficient. They will be spreading their presence online through as many channels as humanly possible, and spread it as wide as possible, cast a large net. I think that there's technology that doesn't exist yet that will be influencing them, but I think it's all going to be more of this on-demand, Uber-like mentality that they will be having. The smart agents will have, and brokers, frankly, will have strategies like what, again, Raj is going to keep getting the love, right? But things like that where it's evergreen marketing that keeps people engaged with a brand, and he's doing those things. Lush visuals, quick, hard-hitting pieces of information, and everlasting brand strength throughout a 5-year relationship with people. Things are just going to take longer, but when people are ready, they're going to be wanting to go like that. And this on-demand mentality is going to be huge. So something needs to be on-demand within an agent ecosystem, whether it's their marketing, whether it's literally somebody picking up the phone and acknowledging a phone call. This on-demand mentality, I think, is the one thing that's going to change. And I look at brands like Uber, and the mentality is changing everything. Just talk to an Uber driver, and I think you'll get a blueprint of what folks should be doing over the next couple of years to prepare for the next 5, 10, 20 years in real estate.
Agreed. Dave, I know you've been writing notes down feverishly throughout the show. If you can pick one takeaway from the show.
Well, it's an overall thing. After everything that we've ever had on the show, all the guests that we've had all sort of have the same theme and the same message to me. I mean, you take little pieces of it and you put it into what's been shared here today. Service, evergreen, collaboration you just talked about, just being ahead of the curve. I mean, there isn't one. There's just, it's the same message over and over again. You need to be sharp, and you need to be giving service to your clients, and it's changing. And that, to me, it's the change. It's changing. Things are changing very rapidly, and you best be involved some way, best be engaged some way to understand the change and put your arms around it, and so you can move forward. Or else, for the third time in this show, we're going to thin the herd.
Nobu, how do people get a hold of you online if they want to connect and interact with you?
Twitter is actually the best way to hit me up. And as you mentioned, it's Nobu Hata, Nobuhata. But if you're a realtor, I work for you. You can hit me up via email at nhata, NHATA, @realtors.org. And I try to get back to as many people as humanly possible. But Twitter is the best way to hit me up. And it's always great talking to you guys via chat like this. I love this.
Well, Nobu, awesome. Thank you so much. We'll connect again soon, I'm sure. Dave, why don't you tell us about next week's show, which is not next week's show. Next week we are off for our summer vacation. 2 weeks from now is September 5th, Friday, September 5th, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern. Who we have coming on the show?
David Teefy and Dan Vick. We're going to talk about, and David is the he has a Facebook page, and he works with Remax LLC, and he's I guess his title is he's Director of Strategic Engagement with our website. and he has a lot to do with that. And Dan has a lot of. He's a broker owner and a Remax agent who has a lot of success with website incubation of clients. So we're going to talk about that.
Perfect. Perfect. If you have any referrals heading out to the East Coast of the United States, get a hold of Dave. He'll put you in the hands of the right Remax agent. Any referrals coming out to the West Coast of Canada, get a hold of me, and I'll put you in the hands of the right Remax agent. And as Melanie Galia of Remax Fort McMurray wants us to end every show, please tell 5 other Remax agents or any kind of agent across North America, I'm sure Nobu, about the show. It's the viewers, the amazing viewers that we have, is the reason why we can reach out to people like Nobu, and that will give us an hour of their time while he's sitting in, I can only imagine, some sort of hotel in Ohio somewhere.
That's beautiful.
Where are you? So Nobu, thank you so much. I think you bring a lot of really great, awesome nuggets. I know the Twitter feed was going off with amazing quotes. We appreciate your time very, very much. Dave, you've got to run. You're a busy real estate agent, and I'm sure your broker would like to have her office back. So thank you, Nobu. Thank you, Dave. We'll see everyone next week.
No.
See you guys.
No.